Welcome back. Let's see what's new and improved on the Vivo X80 Pro cameras. There's a lot of refining going on. You ready for round two? If you missed our first video, I'm Juan Carlos Bagnell, aka SomeGadgetGuy, and I'm really excited to be working with Vivo on a series of videos looking at the camera performance on the X80 Pro. That first video was a general tour of the hardware and the camera app, looking at all the individual settings. For this video, we're covering feature and technology improvements. Now, it's really easy to look at a phone camera on paper. You just count up the number of megapixels and you might miss some of the lifestyle upgrades that make new phone cameras more fun. The X80 Pro is Vivo's third generation collaboration with Zeiss, the world-famous manufacturer of optics and camera lenses. The sensor on the main camera is a modified version of the excellent Samsung GN1. The GN-V is a large sensor unique to Vivo phones. The 2x zoom, the portrait lens, is upgraded with gimbal stabilization, and the internal coprocessor responsible for image processing, noise reduction, and low light enhancement is more powerful and more power efficient than processing images through the CPU of a phone. Last year's X70 Pro Plus is still a formidable camera platform today. But this year, the X80 Pro showcases nearly top-to-bottom refinement. Okay, let's start with that main sensor. This is one of the largest sensors available on any production smartphone. The X80 Pro pairs high-quality glass with the fastest aperture available at this sensor size. Of course, the lens matters. This might be one of the more photographic examples of Zeiss and Vivo working together. Zeiss T-Star lens coating significantly reduces reflections and improves light transmission. Not just a marketing bullet point, we can really demonstrate that. I'm sure you've seen on other phones when you're shooting at night where city lights reflect and return as little points of light in your video, or when light hits your camera lens at an angle and you see those flares that wash over your scene. As a bit of a simplification, the more light we see bouncing around in your lens elements, less of that light is making it to your sensor. By using Zeiss T-Star coatings, we reduce those reflections significantly, which also improves image quality. This is in addition to the high transmittance glass elements in the X80 Pro. Better color accuracy, lower dispersion, and lower chromatic aberration and distortion. In terms of pure optics, this is some of the best performing glass currently available in a phone today, and Vivo needs to use quite a bit of that glass for such a large sensor. Vivo can be really fun about this stuff. This company likes to play around with advanced stabilization hardware. For the X80 Pro, the medium telephoto now has gimbal stabilization. The longer focal length means handshake might be more noticeable, especially if you're not shooting in perfect light. This more robust gimbal stabilizer improves standard shots, and it adds support for sports portrait and camera panning modes. Lastly, for the hardware improvements, the V1 Plus coprocessor. This little chip tackles numerous duties throughout the phone for content creation and for display management. By not dumping every bit of camera data through the main processor of the phone, Vivo can keep temperature and performance more consistent. You can take the shot faster, the shot is processed faster, and you'll use less battery. Moving on, the modern smartphone camera is a little miracle of hardware and software working together. At a basic level, this means better auto mode performance, where the phone can handle scene switching in ways the user shouldn't need to worry about, like activating a night mode for low light video, or processing a heavier HDR effect in challenging mixed light. But we're increasingly asking for the fun stuff on our phones too, like a portrait mode that doesn't just blur out the background, but we can use software to simulate the optical characteristics of classic Zeiss camera lenses. The X80 Pro has a wealth of portrait mode filters to choose from, but now includes video settings to replicate anamorphic cinema-style bokeh. We're not just cropping the top and bottom of the frame, we're also using that AI hardware to process out-of-focus elements, stretching lights to create the oval bokeh we see in cinema production. And those portrait modes are also getting an AI overhaul. Sampling thousands of professional photos, the software in the camera app can help tone up the look of your subject, retouching for blemishes and softening the look of bags or circles under your eyes. Composing a group shot can be a challenge where having multiple faces in frame might make exposure and color processing a bit more of a challenge. So again, using that AI hardware to recognize faces and make sure everyone is looking good, skin tone is handled accurately. That's gonna be a critical feature for events and gatherings. And personally, one of the coolest features that I've started playing with, Vivo is delivering improved horizon leveling and stabilization. This still kind of looks like magic to me. It can be tricky sometimes, holding a phone steady, and sometimes your shot can drift and your horizon slides to the side when you're not paying attention. When you select for stable horizon, the phone buffers your movement and automatically corrects for any drift or angle from your hands. Once you press that shutter button, it locks in that orientation. No matter how far you tilt the phone, it will keep the same orientation in your video. You can rotate a full 360 degrees while maintaining the same orientation. That's an incredible software safety net for smoother video. And lastly, I've been super impressed with Vivo's low light processing modes. Again, there's a happy marriage of software and hardware here, where the lens is reducing glare and flaring. The V1 Plus coprocessor is speeding up image capture and processing. Vivo is dubbing this real-time night mode capture, and it's shockingly fast at shooting low light images. The user doesn't have to hold still as long, reducing the likelihood that the image will come out blurry from handshake. Images come out brighter and cleaner. It's exceptional performance for any camera, let alone one stapled to the back of a phone. What I think is really fun, seeing how the phone is more directly contributing to the creation process. It's more than just a filter or a juiced up HDR mode. There's a lot of information coming back to the user. The photographer can set up the camera the way they want to use it. You can let the system make all the decisions for you. Only push the shutter button. You can use these modes as a co-pilot to help guide shots, or you can run full manual mode and make all the creative decisions yourself. And the output is stunning. No, seriously, the output is so good. We have a whole third video for you to watch. Part 3 of this series is going to put the X80 Pro up against some really tough competition. Not another phone. We're gonna see how it fares against a mirrorless camera. Stay tuned. It's on. It's on like Donkey Kong. Again, I want to throw a huge thank you out to Vivo for collaborating and sponsoring the series. It's been so much fun digging into what the X80 Pro can do. And I also got to give a shout out to some pals. These videos weren't made in a vacuum, so big thank you to the amazing Clark Wolf and my brother from another mother, TK Bay, for contributing. As always, thanks so much for watching, for sharing these videos, subscribing to the channel. All the support lately has been absolutely amazing. Those of you who are checking out the links underneath my videos in the description, those of you who've hit my website, SomeGadgetGuy.com, or those of you who have joined the list of names scrolling by on your screen from my Patreon, patreon.com/SomeGadgetGuy. This list is basically the coolest collection of tech pals in the universe. So I hope you'll check them out. Now, you know where you can find me around the rest of the internet, at SomeGadgetGuy on the Twitters and the Twitch. Not so much on the Facebooks and the Instagrams, but I will catch you all on part 3.